Uh, Good morning, Nikhil. Can you hear me, Nikhil?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Uh, Good morning to all. Uh, Today we will going to have the expert talk, right, uh, on computer architecture and server management. Right. This expert talk will be delivered by Nikhil Kulkarni, who is one of the alumni from computer science of Devgiri Institute of Engineering and Management Studies. Currently, he is working as Senior Security Manager in Persistent Systems, Pune. His areas of interest are operating systems installation, right, basic configurations in operating systems and different softwares, routing, firewall management, and he takes more interest in the softwares like Kitty, Siebel, RFTR, FlexMaster, Inventum, Unify, Imagic. Right. Uh, his previous organization was ESDS Softwares Solutions Private Limited, Mumbai, and there he was a system and network engineer. Right. So with this small introduction, right, I would request Nikhil Kulkarni, right, to start his session on practical aspects of computer architecture and server management. Right. So Nikhil, please, over to you.
Okay, okay. Good morning, all. Nikhil Kulkarni here. Hello.
Yes, you are audible, Nikhil. You are audible.
Okay, okay. So today the topic allocated to me is the server architecture, server management, and computer architecture. So firstly, we will go with the basic things of the computer, and after that, we will move ahead how to get it up to the server management and all. Okay. So firstly,
Meanwhile, Nikhil, I will request you to share your presentation.
yes. I am doing that. 1 minute
Yes,
only.
yes.
Okay. My screen is visible. Hello.
Yes, it is visible. Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so firstly, we will going to cover some topics from the basic architecture of the computer. So there are some parts which we are going to have this session. Okay, so there are the three components in the basic unit of the CPU, right? CPU is nothing but the like of the heart or brain of the computer, from which the commands are getting executed and all those things. Okay, so we will just go through it first. There are, as we discussed regarding the central processing unit, that is CPU. It has a two parts. Okay, that is the control unit and arithmetic logic unit. Okay, where the control unit controls all the execution regarding this task handling only, and after that the whatever the arithmetic and logic units is taking care of the mathematical operations, and there are some input devices and memory unit devices and other output devices are there. So there are some memory usage which we are doing, that there are the two types of the memory. It's a primary and secondary, where the primary memory is treated as a RAM. It is random access memory, which is the volatile memory. So that currently right now we are giving the presentation, right? So the particular thing is whatever the it's called as volatile memory, because particular memory is taking some time. So once it is means our computer or power is getting off, so that stop the working. So that's why the whatever the data it is in the present RAM, so it is get vanished. Okay, So, and there are the other memory is called as hard disks or secondary memory, which can be hard disks, your USB drive, floppy disks, and all. So we will just go deep dive in arithmetic logical unit. So as the slide suggests, there are arithmetic logic unit which is uh, uh, which is made up of some register and the upper circuit. So the logical gates. So from that, the particular binary number is represented from 1 and 0, and the mathematical operation is taken care with the arithmetic logical unit, and the control unit is just fetching the particular instructions from the memory whenever they require, and they allocated the task to the whatever the arithmetic logical unit. Just for example, I'm giving you that particular example. Input device is as a your keyboard, right? So you have to perform some operations, like we have to make the addition 5 plus 5, right? So we have just triggered 5 plus 5 from our keyboard. So particular sensor or the particular special purpose register is aligned on the keyboard, so that from that they have converted the particular value to the ASCII code and send it to the control unit. Okay, after that control unit check that particular which is the operation. So we are just going to perform the arithmetic operation, so that it sends to the arithmetic logical unit. Okay, and the accumulator is the one of the part in the arithmetic logical unit which takes care for the substitution or for the meanwhile memory, treated as a meanwhile memory during the arithmetic logical unit operation. Okay, so the particular operation saves in the accumulator, and after that it will perform all the mathematical operations, and after that whatever the result is sending to control unit will take care, and after that it will send it to the output device, which is our monitor, and on that monitor the particular value is getting displayed. So the 5 plus 5 10 value will be displayed on that your device or desktop. You can read this slide for the arithmetic logical units. Hello, Pankaj sir.
Yes, yes, Nikhil,
Uh,
tell me.
can we make this session somewhat interactive? Means,
Yes, it is your choice. Not a problem from my end.
okay, I will just explain this particular slide once, and after that we will take the interactive sessions. Means
Yes,
whatever the doubts people have, they will ask regarding that. Okay.
you are the controller of the session.
Okay.
You take the charge, and as per your convenience, you can ask the queries to the students, or even I will request the students also to be very free, because he is the same person who was sitting on your benches in the classroom, right? He is the alumni of DIMS, right? So he's your just senior.
Okay.
Over to you, Nikhil. Over to you.
Yes, yes, sir. Okay. So, whatever the circuit is made up of in the computer is nothing but the logical gates. Logical gates you must have studied in the electronics subject. So, there are the AND gate, OR gate, NOR gate, and XOR gate. Whatever the operations which we need to perform, and computer language is nothing but the binary language is 1 and 0. Computer doesn't understand the language which means English and all those things. So the ASCII and 1 and 0 binary language is only understood by a computer. Okay. So as I already told you that arithmetic logical units, there are the registers. So registers are just storing the operations, and whatever the mathematical operations, addition, subtraction, they are just doing in the accumulator and temporarily save. After that, whatever the final result get it, so that it will be forwarded to the control unit, and control unit will take care wherever exact that particular output need to be sent. Okay, so it is accordingly sent by the control unit. So control, as this slide shows you, the control unit is responsible for determining what action to be performed on what data. so that it is like the controller, it is like a monitor where they need to be check what exactly task where we need to allocate that task, so that particular things is taken care by the control unit. If the action is calculating, then control unit will deliver the necessary data to the arithmetic logical unit, inform the arithmetic logical unit what particular action is to be performed, and an appropriate location will be sent, right? After that, as we have already told you that there are two types of the RAM. That is, one is ROM and one is RAM. So, any one of you, can you tell that particular what is the difference between RAM and ROM? Any one of you? Hello.
RAM is a temporary volatile memory and ROM is a permanent memory.
Okay. So, what does it means? Means permanent memory means what exactly? How you are looking that particular memory in the practical? So, how can we define?
It permanently stores the data even if computer shutdowns. It stores what were the files we are running on, and but ROM doesn't stores that files.
Okay.
It varnishes.
Okay, particularly, Miss, while we are talking about the ROM is the thing where the data which is saved in directly permanently, which is read-only memory. So it is treated as a somewhat treated for it is working for some bias operations. It is working for firmware updation and all those things. So that particular data is stored, and we don't need to upgrade that each every day, because as we check that for the operating system and all, you are getting the update on the monthly basis, or so. But whatever the firmware and all those things that are not released very frequently, they are just after means 1 year or 2 year we need to upgrade that, or it's depend upon the computer system or your requirement when you have to upgrade that. So that is the particular ROM. You can see that CMOS battery and all the particular type of the CMOS, when your CMOS battery is get exhausted, the computer is not able to boot properly. So you need to fill it again, refill it again, and then the particular BIOS operation is getting updated. This is the particular ROM memory is using that CMOS battery, CMOS battery energy to boot up that systems. Okay, so this is the ROM memory, and the whatever the strip you just looking on the presentation is the RAM. Okay, so there are the two type of the RAM. It is static RAM and dynamic RAM. Okay, so the particular static RAM is, do you heard about the cache memory? So cache memory is nothing but the memory between the actual which is helps your computer, or which is helps your microprocessor to execute the task between these. This is the mediator memory, you can say, or this is the particular primary memory, which is the cache memory, and the second memory is this RAM. So on the RAM, whatever the operations we need to fetch from the memory, so they are in the current memory. This is the RAM memory. Okay. Okay, memory versus storage. So memory is a volatile thing. One of you already told that the particular RAM memory is volatile. Okay, so once we close that operation, or once the power or electricity is not there, so the particular RAM is not working, or the whatever the data is not getting saved. But while you are saying about the hard disks, floppy disks, and CDs, the whatever the data means, right now I'm giving this presentation. So this is in the currently working in the particular RAM. Okay, so once I save this file, or whatever the in case my laptop get powered off, so that this presentation will not be saved because I have not saved into the permanent memory or so hard disk or memory. So that's why it's get vanished. Okay, so if I save this, so it will get saved in the hard disk, and after that, whenever I power on my laptop, so that it will get loaded into the RAM, and after that, it will be visible to us. Okay, so this is the particular flow. Okay, and the input and output devices. There are some inputs and output devices like the keyboard, motherboard, joystick, and the output devices like you may have your LCD screen over there. That will be means monitor. That will be your output devices, or the printer will be your output devices. Okay. While we coming for it, as we told. Computer is not understanding the particular means English or other language, so it will we have to just give it as a ASCII code or assembly language. So assembler is the one thing which is converted or which is taking care of the language, the converting language to the machine understandable languages. Okay. You can see this definition for the assembler. High-level programs are translated into the assembly language or machine language by a compiler. Assembly language or programs that is translated into the machine language by an assembler. Okay, so assembler is just a type of the mediator which converts the language between the human readable language to computer language, right? And each processor has its own unique machine language. So thus the code must be rewritten or at least recompiled to run the particular different type of the processors or different type of hardwares. Okay. So when we come on this is the bus. Bus is the very important architecture of a computer or your CPU, central processing unit. Bus. What do you mean by this bus? Anyone can tell you? Hello. Any one of you can tell what is bus? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
There is a question raised by the speaker. What is meant by bus? And we are waiting for your answers.
Okay, let it be. As you could see this picture, so whatever these slots and whatever the slots are presented, so that the particular notches we need to fit inside this, and the wires are connected to the output devices, or on the motherboard you could see this particular type of the wire handling is nothing but the bus. Okay, so bus taking care of just transferring the data. In the practical example, how our bus is doing the functions, so that the same function is doing in the computer bus. Okay, there are the three types of the bus that are the address bus, control bus, and data bus. Okay, where the data bus is the most common bus that carries the data to the electric path towards the CPU, memory, and IO devices, and the secondary storage. That is the function of the data bus. After that, address bus. Address bus is the mediator between the memory and the CPU, which is the transfer whenever the memory required the instructions or whatever CPU required the instruction that are particularly fetched by the your control unit, and it is conveyed from that particular data address bus. Okay, and the control bus which is control all the operations on the computer whenever we need to perform that particular. Okay, and there are some ports we need to assign or from where there are the external ports like the universal serial bus, that is nothing but your USB. The last thing is universal serial bus. It is the external we need to connect, and then the particular data is getting transferred through that bus. Okay, so that are the types of the buses. Okay, there are some program counters in the PC which we use for the while they executing the task, the instructions. They are just counting that program where the particular the particular instruction is getting updated from the control unit or not. And after that, once it is executed, the counter is getting incremented, and the next instruction will be delivered to the arithmetic logical unit or whatever the particular operations we need to perform on that. Okay, and there are some instructor registers also which holds the current instructions, current instruction while going that particular instruction is getting executed towards that arithmetic logical unit and all those operations. Okay, this is accumulator which we already discussed, that register used in the conjunction with the arithmetic logical unit, and the data upon which arithmetic and logical unit operation will be eventually performed and stored. Okay, so this is for the temporary purpose. Accumulator is for the temporary purpose in the arithmetic logical unit. For example, we need to just assign that perform that operation, means 5 plus 5. So for while it will take first 5, after that plus operation and 5. So meanwhile, the behind processes which we have performed is get stored for temporary purpose in the accumulator. After that, final result is getting deployed to the accumulator. Accumulator is getting accumulator forwarded that particular to the control unit, and after that it will be displayed on the system. Okay, so there are some execution cycle processes during the execution of arithmetic logical unit operations. The whatever the recall instruction consisted of the load command. Okay, so once it is getting loaded, it will copy the address and now taken in the existing. After that, it will copy that, and it will take into the instruction register, and instruction register will get it over to the memory register. Okay, after that, the particular task is performed. Okay, now we will just come into the practical thing. So, okay, so from this, I need your interaction in between. So we are just going to whatever previously I have told, that is the theory part. So I will just show you the practical things in this from up to the side. So I need your interaction with me. So do you know what is the server, or what do you think? What is meant by server? Any one of you? Hello. Hello. Yes. So can you please, any one of you can tell what is the server? Means what exactly server you mean? Or what
Server
you
serves the
understand?
data
basically manages the
which we
network.
have requested.
Pardon? Hello.
As a server serves the data which client requested to serve.
Okay. Okay. That's the one thing. This server can be anything. The server is for FTP server. That is your file transfer server, web server, where your particular website is hosted, or your company server, or whatever. The server can be anything. But in the respect of hardware, how can you imagine that? What exactly the server is in the respect of hardware? I'm asking. Means how the server will be in the respect of hardware. Okay, I will explain that. Okay, server is the server is nothing but the computer. Okay, but it is having the high configuration, very high configuration, because we need to deploy some servers. For example, if we have our college, right, Devgiri Institute of Engineering and Management Studies. So there are the number of PCs and all those various departments working, where the account section is there. After that, our CSC department, mechanical department, all those things. So, and in that particular, we have some site hosted and some centralized softwares. So that we need to taking care. Okay. So while you could see the image on the presentation, that is for the Dell server. Okay, so it has a processor. It is Xeon 5500 and the 5600 series, and it has a hexa core processor. That is a 6-core processor. So particular processing, whatever the instruction, and what do you mean by this core? Right, 6 core means whatever the particular instruction at a single movement, it will be able to handle the 6 requests. Okay, so 6 request is getting executed, more number of the cores, it will serve the more number of the requests. So that's why the particular speed or processing speed is getting increased. And the RAM, you could see generally in our uh, in our computer or whatever the laptops we have the RAM. So the same RAM the server is having. Okay, but we can extend it up to it's depend upon the, you could see this DIMM slot. DIMM slot is nothing but the slots which we are using for the RAM expansion. Okay, so there are some RAMs which is having the 32 GB RAM separately for the server. We made the combination of the 32 GB RAMs, 10 means 32 into 10, it may be 300 GB of the RAMs and all those things. Okay, and the dual power supply. So dual power supply is the power supply which means it is used for the redundancy. And while means when the particular website or all the website or FTP server or any important server, means database server or whatever the servers which you are deploying, it need to be run 24/7 and 365. 24/7 365, because just assume that you have hosted some important site, for example the important site like IRTC, this is a railway site. Okay, a railway reservation site. So just assume that this server is get failed or whatever the power issue happen. So the particular site is is not getting accessible, right? So for that purpose, they have provided these 2 slots. In case one slot is get failed, it will use the another slot. And this is the redundancy provided is not only respect of the dual power supply. It will be dual your dual networking devices, your dual memory slots, your dual hard disks. The dual hard disks means whatever the hard disks it is having. Just assume that this server have the 4 hard disks. Okay, and the data is getting in that 4 hard disks. And in any case, because it is the machine, anything can be happen. Okay, so the data is get this particular hard disk is get failed. So how can you retrieve the data again? Okay, so there are some redundancy techniques which they are using, is like the redundant array of independent disks. So that in that RAID, the 50% of the data is getting saved, or there are some types of the RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. Okay, so depending upon that, the data is getting stored in that hard disk, and in the failure case, we can retrieve that data. So this is the practical aspect in the respect of hardware the server is. Okay, so any one of you having the doubt on this or anything have a question? Anyone have a question? And what is the server in the respect of hardware? Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes. Anyone is having that doubt? So what is the server in the respect of hardware? Hello.
No doubts.
Okay. Okay. So as I previously worked in the data center, so I would like to introduce that data center as well. So in the respect of how can you see that what is meant by data center? Any one of you? What is data center?
where
Where
data
all
is
the
being
data is
collected.
stored.
Pardon? Just speak loudly. I'm not getting your voice.
Where all the data is saved.
Okay, all the data is getting saved, but how this in the practical example? Can you please elaborate if you?
The data is stored in the silicon chip. Silicon.
Sorry.
The data is
Google
stored.
Data Center.
Okay, I will just give the one of the practical example here. Okay, uh, just assume that you have one of the server. Okay, server is in the last image I already shown you this server. Okay, we need to configure the server as the respective. There are the 18 DIMM slots. Okay, DIMM is you can expand. It is for the expansion of your RAM. Okay, so you can connect the respective RAMs and make it the configuration or memory as you require. Okay, and the second thing is for the hard disk. Okay, so you can enter there are some slots here so that you can expand that your storage as well. Okay, so accordingly your computer, you have made your computer, right? Server is nothing but a computer, but it is just having that high memory and high RAM and all those things only. It is nothing but the computer only. Okay, so second thing what we need to do for any computer, if you have if you want to operate that computer, you require that operating systems. Okay, so server is also required the operating system. Okay, so which operating system which we can use? Do you have any idea? Server is having which operating systems or which operating systems which we can use in the server? Okay, it's nothing but the Windows also. Windows having some 2012 server or 2016 version or 2000. The server editions are different in the Windows, so that we need to install that particular in the this server. So once you install the operating system in the server, okay, so this will become your a Windows server. If you install the Windows server, or if you install the Linux server, it will become the Linux server. It's depend upon the type. If you want to use it as a FTP server, then you can use it, you can install that particular Windows server, and in that there are some role defines. Okay, so in that you need to configure the FTP role, and the FTP role may have some IP. So once you any one of you just configure that particular on the FTP server centralizedly, you can access that server, and whatever the data you require to save, you can save it as centrally. Okay, and whenever the require, any one of you can access. Any one of is depend upon the authentication, and any authenticated user can access that server and take the centralized data. Okay, so this is the main function. After that, the second thing is whatever the sites we have, just you have our Devgiri site, right? So that is site is deployed on the server. Okay, so whenever the server we deploy in the respect of that Windows, it is having a IIS service. Okay, so Internet Information Service. In that you can deploy your site and make it live. Okay, so this is the IIS server. So this can be after that after deploying that site, it may be work as a your web server. Okay, whatever the request is getting hit for the Devgiri site, it will be hit on this server. Okay, so this is the basic functioning of the server. After that, we have to configure this server, and this is the type of the data center. This is the actual deployment or actual this is actually data center looks like. Okay, there are the racks, and this type of the servers are getting fitted in this rack. so that in one rack there may be more than 20 servers are getting fitted, and after that we need to make some cablings over there. After that cablings, network cabling, and it is to the switch. After that switch to router will take it up to the firewall, and firewall then with the particular whatever the website and all is getting deployed. Okay. So while we are asking about the server, there may be some point is come for the virtualization. I think you may be not heard about this virtualization and cluster. Anyone of have idea what is means virtualization or VMware or Zen server hypervisor? Hello, hello, Pankaj sir.
You are audible. I'm waiting for answers.
Okay. Just making this session interactive, so I'm just
Yeah,
trying to make it answer.
that is actually because in this online mode, right? That is necessary. As we are talking, the
Because
participants.
I don't know miss, if they are getting the whatever the points, because this is miss as per the syllabus they might be having this knowledge before this or not, so that's why this is the new task for
Yeah, whatever you are
that.
talking about, server, right?
Hmm.
Real-time examples you have started from the previous slides. These all things are more or new to the students, huh?
Yeah, that's why I'm
And
asking, trying to make it very interactive. Okay, I will
uh,
take care.
Nikhil, I
I
think
will.
you go ahead.
Okay, I will update. Okay, so second thing is that means just assume that sir, can you please mute your headphone? It's getting noise. Okay. Uh, okay. So just assume that if you're having one computer, okay. So in your computer, you are able to just install one operating system, or in the when you do the develop, maximum two operating systems you can install. Okay. So this is same for the your server also. You can, if you want to use this particular 288 GB memory and whatever the 512 GB RAM and all those things. Okay, so if you want to use it for the multiple projects, okay, the server is having very high configuration, so that if you want to make it virtualize, you have to use the hypervisor. Hypervisor is nothing but the software which enables your hardware resources to get virtualized and use it as a virtual system. Means whatever, means for example, you can able to in this you can able to, once you deployed any VMware or Zen Center software on install on this server, so that you are able to make the 10 virtual machine or 12 virtual machine. It is up to whatever the configuration of the base hardware machine is. Okay, so depend upon that. You just consider this 288 GB example, so that just assume that once you install the VMware software on the this server. Okay, so after that, once you install that VMware, you can able to make the virtual machine, and you can allocate 20 GB of the RAM to one virtual machine. After that, 20 GB to another virtual machine, and whatever the storage you need to specify, it is having 18 TB max storage you can expand. So accordingly, you can assign 200 GB or 300 GB as per your requirement. After that, once that particular VM is getting ready, okay, you can able to install the operating system in that VM. Okay, so just assume that on this server you installed VMware. Okay, after that it will give you some prompt you some console. Okay, on that console you are able to make the VM. So you can you have created 5 VM example. For example, on that 5 VM you install three with the Windows, and two with the other operating system, that may be Linux, Ubuntu, or SUSE operating systems. Okay, so that on that you are able to deploy your web server things, FTP server. After that, after the whatever the database server you are having, that server you can made it. Okay, and the second thing in the data center is that while you are you need to provide the redundancy to each and everything. As I earlier told you, in case if it is IRCTC site, okay, and that is deployed on the server, okay, and server get failed. So how can we retrieve that again? Okay, so for that, in case if it is getting failed, they are using the number of the servers. Okay, number of the servers means there are, for example, 10 server we are using. So 5 of them are using as a HA. That is, the concept is called as HA, high availability. High availability means in case this server is get failed, the whatever the data on the server is getting replicated on that server, and that server will trying to serve that request. Okay, so you're getting this point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you have any doubts, please ask me, because I don't know if you're getting that things or not. Okay,
Aniket, can you tell me
yes
how
sir.
much time is remaining?
It will take more 15 minutes, sir.
Okay, because the students have next session, right?
Okay,
So
I will just conclude it. I will just conclude it. Just give me 5 minutes only.
yeah,
Okay,
you can take 10 more minutes, right?
okay,
Just give us the information, more important information in short
yes,
about, because this is the nice part for all of us.
yes, yes.
So take more 5 to 10 minutes and give us the information.
Okay, so whatever I want to convey the information is, this is the hypervisor. Okay, so hypervisor is used for enabling that particular hardware resources to be virtualized. Okay, so we can use the more number of one server, one hardware server can be served to 5 to 10. It is depends upon the configuration, but we can use the more number of the virtual machine on the one server. Okay, and once you created the VM, you exactly not getting what means it is from the exact server or it is the VM. So you couldn't specify that particular difference. You will not getting this. It is exactly like the hardware server itself only, the VM. Okay, and the part after comes is the connectivity part for that servers. Okay, so you could see it will play the very much important role, that LAN and WAN networks and networking things as well. Okay, so in the respect of data center, whatever the servers which we are connected to the switch. Okay, so switch will forwarded that particular request to the router. Okay, and router will take it up to the firewall. Firewall firewall is the device, firewall is the device which will use for the security. Okay, security operations. For example, you have site deployed, right? So it will works upon means HTTPS port. So if that particular port is, we need to write one rule on the firewall to allow that port. That port is not allowed, you are not able to access that particular site. And on the firewall we can configure their different type of the zone, different type of the NATings, different type of policy we can write. For example, in the live practical example, I will show you that, or giving the one example. Just assume that where we have Devgiri site, right? Devgiri Institute of Engineering Management Studies. Okay, so some of the peoples are trying to access from that China location, and they are just performing some malicious activity, and they are trying to infect our site and our server, trying to infect our server. So we have just observed that particular in the monitor tab of the firewall, that particular attacks is getting, and they are trying to break our security and access to the site, so that the firewall having some functions so that you can block that particular China region attacks. Okay, so once you write the rule on the firewall, so blocking for the China, so that particular traffic, whatever the traffic coming from the China region is automatically getting blocked. Okay, so China peoples are not able to access our site. Okay, so this way exactly the firewall does. Okay, and after that some load balancer deployments are there also. So load balancer means there are some 10 requests. Okay, so coming at a time on the firewall. It's for the example for 10,000 requests at a time coming on the firewall, so that we can make it a load balance. So as we can configure that load balancer, and whatever the requests are coming, that is getting separated according to the rule written. There may be some first come first serve rule. After that it's depend upon the memory usage. It's depend upon the configuration of the server, so that accordingly they are just serving that request. So that is whole about this server management. And this type of the cable, you could see this is the FC cable. Means it is having one core, optical core, or in the uh, inside of this cable. So the data is getting very faster deployed on this server, and after that server to the switch to the router and all these things. And these are the type of the module is called as the FC module, which is connected. This cable is connected to FC module, and the FC module is connected to this particular FC switch. Okay. After that, FC switch is connected to the router, and router to the firewall. So this in this type, this will play the role. And this is the skeleton which I just shown you for this firewall. You could see that this is the LAN. Okay, just assume that this is your lab. Okay, this is your lab. Here one switch would be there. Okay, so one switch is connected on the so whatever the LAN connections or whatever your PC connection is it connected to the switch. Okay, after that switch cable is going towards this firewall, and firewall will the gateway for this. For example, we have this subnet 192.168.1.1. That is the gateway. So gateway is configured on the firewall. After that, whatever the 1 2 3 4 5 6 up to 254 IP we can assign to in the LAN, and after that this will point towards the gateway. Okay, after that gateway, some of the users or some of you just try to browse your google.com. Okay, so google.com request will come here. It will check for the root if that particular internet access is allowed on the firewall. If it is allowed, that will forward that request. Okay, but for this when we forward that request, okay, 192.168.1.1 is it the private IP address, right? So with the private IP address, firewall will not available. Or if you want to communicate on the WAN side or on the internet, only internet will allow to communicate with the public IP only. Okay, so that public IP, the NATing is the concept which comes here. Okay, so that the particular 192.168.1.2 this IP is, for example, this having 1.2 IP. So this will come, request will come here. It will check that whatever the NATing is done. Means NATing is nothing but to convert the request, means to convert the private IP into the public IP. Okay, so that particular NATing will take place on the firewall, and after that it will the request will go towards the server. It will firstly reach to the DNS server. It will get DNS. After that it will go to the Google site, and whatever the required information is fetched from that server to this, and after that firewall will again check that reverse request. It is come from this, and it is for 192.168.1.2, and after that the particular request is getting served to your computer. So this is all about the server management, data center, and your computer architecture. Okay, thank you. If
Yeah.
anyone is having any doubts, please ask. I will let you.
Yeah, Nikhil, thank you very much for the valuable information that you have given to us on computer architecture. That was moreover known, but the server management part was totally new for the attendees, right?
Okay.
So once again, on behalf of this class, second year computer science, I would like to thank you all for thank you to deliver this for delivering this session. Right. So thank you, Nikhil. Thank you. So here
Thank you,
I
sir.
will
Thank you
declare
very
that
much.
the session is finished. You can take 5 to 10 minutes of break, and then you can join your regular curriculum. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.